We have a 3-piece oyster processing equipment system here. We have an upfeed conveyor, a tumbler, sorter, washer unit, and then a discharge conveyor. The upfeed conveyor has a hopper on it to accept the cages that they're using in the industry to hold the oysters. They dump the cage. 2 people would dump the cage from a oyster or something. They set the cage down here. They physically dump the cage into the hopper, and then the hopper will take the oysters up the conveyor and insert them into the tumbler. The hopper's all stainless steel. The main frame of the unit is aluminum. Stainless steel washdown motors with covers to shield it from water. Electrical control box. Power consumption is no more than 1,800 watts, 15 amp. We're using 120 volt feeding our motors. We're running through an AC drive that gives us the ability to have variable speed on our belts. Everything can go from a dead slow to whatever speed you need. You can increase it or run wide open, but it's all due to what your throughput would be in your tube. Have safety cables on it, so that if anything was to happen, any cable you pull on the unit can stop the unit totally. Basically, the whole unit's built at, most of the stuff is 5053 aluminum, which is a marine grade aluminum. All the fasteners are stainless steel. The control box is wash down duty, submersible box. All 3 pieces, the equipment legs are adjustable up and down in 2-inch increments. They'll adjust up 8 inches from what they are right now. The bearings are nickel-plated steel bearings, and if they're greased weekly, they'll last for quite a long time. And in salt, stainless steel bearings are available, but it's extremely pricey. On the tumbler, sorter washer, it's basically made so that you can change the tube quickly. You don't need no tools to take it apart. We've got it driven with an industrial timing belt. It's driven off a cog with a belt tensioner, and it's also stainless steel wash down duty motors, and it's variable speed. That way you can be run from a dead slow to a wide open, or anywhere in between. And then just like the upfeed, it's tied to a safety cable. If you pull a cable, it shuts everything off. If there's no physical reset, all you have to do is push the button to restart it. As the oysters fall in here and they leave the edge of the chute, they're caught by blades that are inside of the tube. As the oysters fall down the chute, they're caught by blades that carry the oysters away. So as the oysters are falling down, there's never a pile here. The blades are constantly pushing them to the side, which helps get the throughput through the tube. As they come in the tube, they're being rinsed with spray nozzles, so it's washing them. And then as they go through the series of holes in the tubes, the smaller ones will fall through the hole. What can't fall through the hole ends up traveling further down the unit to the next set of holes, and what can fall through them holes falls into the hoppers that are below. And as the oysters fall through the holes in the tube, as they're being sorted, collecting to the bottom into the hopper, into the plastic tote. And as you're running and the tote gets full, instead of stopping the process, all you have to do is shut a door, which actually shuts the door that's here in the hopper, which you can see moving. And then that way you can keep the process running. Pull the tote out, put a new tote in, and while you're running, they've collected on top of the door, and all you do is just slide the door back open, and what was on top of the door will fall into that tote, and you've you've not had to stop running. So if they don't fall through the first set of holes, they transfer on down to the next set of holes, and what can fall through there falls into another chamber that's the same way with another door and a tote below it, and what won't fall through them holes ends up running out the end onto a conveyor, which then can be called off into different sizes or to run straight into another tote. All three pieces have the safety, which is all tied to one control unit. Everything's up and running, and there's a problem in the process and you got to shut down. All somebody has to do is pull one cable and all three pieces stop. And then all you do is hit the start to start them back up. To change the tube, to go from the normal size tube to the seed tube, all it's needed is to remove the spray bar, the in-feed chute, the two belt guards, and pull the two belts off, and then the tube is removed. And that's done by this pin. Pull in a quick pin. No tools are needed. No tools are needed to remove it. It's on a pin on the other end. It comes down and slides out. Then the chutes drop down. It's on pins and one clip. You just pull it and drop it right out of the way. Then the belt guards are taken off. One on this end, which this is just an idler holding down the tube, and you can hang the guard here on the side so it doesn't get smashed on the floor or bent all up. And then you pull the tensioner, which releases the belt. You can pull it off of the tube. Then you go to the drive end and do the same thing, which would be the same thing. You pull the quick release pin, pull the guard cover off, hang the guard cover, and then you pull the tensioner, which was the release belt, over there, and then the tube is in. The tube's riding on oil-impregnated UHMW rollers, which are self-lubricating. No grease fittings or nothing needed, and the belt is being tensioned. The rollers on the tensioner is the same way, and all the fasteners and springs are all stainless steel. On both conveyors, the upfeed and the discharge conveyor, they're industrial food grade belts. They're readily available in any industrial supply house, and we have a stainless steel all thread tensioner that allows us to tension the belt for a slight bit of stretching that happens over time. And all the fasteners are stainless steel. Basically just loosening two lock bolts. Once you loosen both sets of bolts on either side, you use the adjuster to move the belt out a little bit, as long as it's done equally on both sides, so the belt will stay tracked. And then you lock it back down and tighten the two lock bolts. The discharge conveyor and the upfeed conveyor. The tensioner on the upfeed is at the bottom, and on the discharge conveyor, it's at the far end. The tumbler unit comes with two tubes, and you have a seed tube and then a standard sorting tube. The holes in the seed tube are 5/8 and 7/8, and the holes in the main tube are 1¼ and 1¾ inch. And other sizes are available upon request. And to put the tube back in, it's all done in reverse order. Basically, you would sit the tube down into the rollers. Make sure it's in the groove on the rollers. Then you go ahead and put the belt and the tensioner all back together. And the belt just back on the tensioner. guard back over it. And then the same thing on the discharge. No need to worry about where the belt's at when you're putting the belt back on, because as soon as you turn it on, it'll self-track itself. Once both belts, the in-feed chute and the guards are on, then the spray bar can be put back on. And puts it on the pin. And once it's on the pin, you put the quick pin. Then you can start it back up. And that's all it takes to change the tube. No tools required. The spray for the water, it supplied with a 1-inch water hose from something like a 1.5-inch pool pump. That's more than ample water for the nozzles that are in it for washing the oysters. The nozzles are what they call a K-ball. They're plastic and they're adjustable so that you can move the spray pattern around if you desire. And that's it. As we stated previously, the input power is 120 volt, 15 amp circuit, which is a standard household outlet. It's converting the power to 3-phase 230 output for the industrial 3-phase washdown motors through an AC drive, which gives us variable speed. It's a gasket sealed submersible box, watertight box for washdown. The drives are AC drives, and everything's readily available in industrial supply houses. The powers run through filters, which filter out spikes and drops in the power. That way, if you have bad power feeding the unit, it doesn't affect our drives, or if it's running off a generator, it doesn't affect the drives. No fuses, it's all circuit breakers, so if you did have an issue, cable cut or something, you'd repair the cable, and then you just reset the breakers. Electrical prints supplied with it, and cut sheets on all the different parameters and information on the drives. All 3 units that come from each one of the units, the upfeed, the tumbler, or the discharge conveyor, are in plastic seal tight, and they're routed back to the control box, and they're got plugs on them with quick connectors that are gasketed for water tightness, and then we also actually fill the connectors with dielectric grease to keep moisture out, and that way it can be disassembled and reassembled easily. The safety cables on all 3 units is just basically for safety. That way, if anybody was to get hung up in the machinery or there was a major problem and you had to stop real quick and you were on one side of the unit versus the control box, all you have to do is pull the cable. It operates a micro switch, which sends a signal to the drives and shuts all 3 down. It doesn't matter which cable you pull, whether you pull the one on the upfeed conveyor or you pull the one on the discharge conveyor. All 3 pieces would stop instantly. And then all it would be needed is come back over to the control box and hit the starts to start everything back up. The individual components, whether it be the upfeed, the tumbler, or the discharge. And then there's an hour meter that's tied to the tumbler. That way they can keep track of the hours that the units run. If the owners of the equipment wanted their own name engraved in the machine, we could add that name to the side for a slight additional cost. seaside where they carry them down.
And then he'll put them back.